Welcome to the Ashleigh Deane Show, a place for inspiration, insights, a little bit of non-biased news, and a whole lot of lighthearted fun. Hello, welcome to the Ashleigh Deane Show. I'm Ashleigh Deane. I have been wanting to do this for so long. I'm so glad I'm actually doing it. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and thank you for being here. My hope is that this lighthearted episode can brighten your week and bring a smile to your face. Something I've learned about myself is that I'm a nerd. I was a high school teacher for 14 years. Welcome to my new classroom, by the way. I loved teaching, doing research, but mostly I love learning. About 7 years ago, I felt a pull away from teaching, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. So I dabbled here and I dabbled there, trying to figure it all out. Learning all along the way. I learned things about the world, about myself, ultimately landing me a job in the news. And I started my blog, ashleighdeane.com. So this podcast is kind of a culmination of my brief time working in the news and my time as a high school teacher. And it's hopefully a chance for you to get to know me a little better. You'll find out in no time how much of a doofus I am, but also how much I love the people around me, mostly because they love and accept my doofus side, because sometimes I just can't help it. I also realized I might like doing a podcast because about a year ago, the Inside Podcast interviewed me. I was pretty nervous because you never know. I could say something lame or just not be good. Pretty sure I did both, but I had a fun time. Couple that with a full year teaching high school curriculum to a blank screen on a computer, I figured having my own podcast wouldn't be far from that. Well, we'll see. I'm a fan of Brené Brown and her work, so if you are too, you'll know what I mean when I say, this is my shitty first draft. I'm doing it, and it can only get better from here.
Problem, Beaver. Infantry fury trading machine gun fire.
Hi, you just got here and already you're playing Couch Commando?
Hey, in some parts of the universe, maybe not in contempo casual, but in some parts, it's considered cool to know what's going on in the world.
Thank you, Josh. I so need lessons from you on how to be cool. Tell me that part about Kenny G again.
Come on.
So, what happened in the world this past week? I usually catch up on current events through podcasts, but last week I was at a retreat in beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, so I haven't had a chance to consume much media. It's kind of been refreshing. But I guess I can comment on the slap. Even though it may be old news by now, in my opinion, I think it's a perfect display of our current society. In this short clip of a longer bit by Bill Maher, he declares, "This war on jokes must end."
And for our final rule tonight, it's time for another edition of one of our favorite departments here on Real Time, explaining jokes to idiots. Whereas the public service, I break down jokes for the humor impaired. Not that I have anyone particular in mind. Now, I know we're all sick of talking about the slap, but I'm sorry, one more thing needs to be said. Comedians have been under attack for quite some time, and I need to stick up for my tribe. This war on jokes must end. So tonight, let's Zapruder film this thing once and for all and explain jokes to idiots. Now, at the Oscars, Chris Rock came out to present a boring award and first did what he is supposed to do, get some laughs during what we comics call crowd work. Denzel and Javier Bardem each got spritzed. And then Chris made what in the business is known as a "some shit is like some other shit" joke. He said to Jada Smith, "Jada can't wait for G.I. Jane 2, recalling the late 90s movie starring Demi Moore. That's it. That's the joke. You remind me of some other beautiful, buzz-cutted movie star. It wasn't an alopecia joke any more than the one about the chicken crossing the road is about bird flu."
I'd also like to add, last weekend was a semi-annual general conference address of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you're not familiar, it's a chance for leaders of the church to share faith-filled messages with the world, which, let's be honest, we can all use. Copies of all speeches can be found online, and I'll add a link in the episode notes.
I'd like to see you have a little bit of direction.
I have direction.
Yeah, towards the mall.
I am always fascinated with the why. What gives people their direction, motivation, beliefs? And I plan to invite others to share with me here in the future. But today, it's just me. Lately, I've really felt like things in my life have finally started to make sense. For so very long, I felt like I was just putting one foot in front of the other, listening to my heart, but not really knowing where it was leading. If you've read The Alchemist, you know the phrase personal legend and omen. I believe we all have a personal legend within us. When we listen to that, even when it doesn't make sense to others, maybe sometimes even ourselves, we're walking the path that's going to lead us to our full potential. We find omens along the way that are reminders we are on the right track. One of those omens for me came in the form of the retreat in Coeur d'Alene that I mentioned earlier. As soon as I found out about it, it wouldn't leave my mind. And after attending, I knew I was supposed to be there. I met incredible people, and we shared incredible moments. Had I not trusted in my personal legend, I would have missed out on something beautiful. Stay tuned for next week, where I'll ask someone else about their why. Part of this podcast, I want to share inspiring stories to give you hope. The world today can suck our hope away if we let it. So today I want to share a miracle my family experienced through my mom. 5 years ago, she had an aortic dissection, which basically means an artery in her heart burst. Not many people survive, but I watched that miracle unfold step by step, and there's no other explanation for what happened. I'd just gotten home for Thanksgiving. I was living in Austin, Texas, and my parents took me out to eat at the Palazzo, my favorite. We laughed, we joked, we ate, and we took a picture of the three of us. Later that night, my mom had a severe pain in her chest. She barely made her way to her bedroom to tell my dad. She's kind of dramatic, so when she told him she was dying, he wasn't quite sure what to do. Then he knew she was serious. The ambulance came to get her, and my brother woke me up to tell me. We all went to the hospital, where we sat for several hours before they figured things out. Her aorta had burst, and she needed emergency open heart surgery. The surgeon told us she had a 50-50 chance to live, and this was the most complex and difficult surgery on hearts to perform. And then he told us of many more possible complications. We waited for hours during the surgery while many friends and family came to comfort us. My mom lived. She defied the odds. We don't always know the why behind stories like this, but I think if we remember every day is precious, and as my dad told us, life is fragile, we can make each day count and live with intention, because we don't know how many more we have with our loved ones. Thanks for listening to the Ashleigh Deane Show. After all, I'm still a teacher, just got myself a brand new classroom. We'll see you next week for another episode. Until then, make sure you subscribe, rate and review, and download the Ashleigh Deane Show. You can also go to ashleighdeane.com for the latest in fashion, food, and fitness.